The call for help reached the Death Worlders. They didn't respond with mercy. They deployed a warship. The message repeated itself again. This is Aurelia outpost. Please, we need help. Something is here. We don't know what it is. There. Inside now. We can't then static. Inside the massive chamber of Central Conclave Station. 100 alien delegates stared at the flickering hologram. Blue lights danced across the ceiling. The message began again. This is Aurelia outpost. Please, we need help. ... double quotes. No one spoke. Archivist Yell, an elder from the peaceful core species, stood near the edge of the hall. He was small. With translucent skin and glowing eyes, he looked afraid. But more than that, he looked angry. That signal has been playing for 6 hours, he said quietly. And still, no one has sent a ship. A tall alien with scales and long horns, General Rarn of the Turoks, crossed his arms. Aurelia is too far. Too exposed. It's not worth the risk. They're scientists, Yell snapped. Velari. Peaceful people. They wouldn't even know how to hold a weapon. Exactly, Rarn replied. They had no business setting up an outpost alone. This isn't our fight. Another alien, the spindly, four-eyed Rithon diplomat, added, even if we wanted to help, our fleets are 2 weeks away at best. They're already gone. They're not gone, Yell said. They're still calling for help. The room fell. Quiet again, the message continued. Yell looked around the hall. Yes, there's one place we haven't asked. Many of the delegates turned to stare at him. No, hissed Rarn. Don't say it. Earth, Yell said simply. A long pause. The air felt heavier. You would send that message, ... to the humans. One delegate whispered. They're unpredictable, another muttered. Unstable. They're from a death world, someone else spat. They eat animals. They train their children in combat simulations. And yet, Yell said, raising his voice, they always answer. Every time a distress call goes out, Earth responds. No matter who it is, no matter where. The delegates shifted uncomfortably. A young council assistant spoke up. But Earth doesn't send diplomats. They don't send relief ships. They send ... operatives. They send results, Yell said. Silence again, in the back of the chamber. Someone activated a communications panel. The message to Earth was sent. The reply came 3 minutes later. 4 words. Signal received. Deploying Blackout. Nobody in the conclave had expected that name. Rarn growled. They sent them. The Rithon diplomat looked confused. What is Blackout? Earth's last resort, Yell whispered. In deep space, somewhere far from any trade route, a ship detached from a dark satellite. It didn't shine. It didn't broadcast a call sign. No lights. No sound. Its name, Evie Widow. Aboard it were 9 humans. No media. No politics. Just a team trained to do what no council fleet ever would. Commander Ash Varelli stood at the helm. He was calm, silent, and dressed in matte black armor. His crew waited for orders. Didn't give any yet. Instead, he turned to the navigation. Officer, plot a course. We're not going straight in. The officer blinked. But the signal came from Aurelia. We're landing on the moon, Ash said. We watch first. In the darkness of space, the Widow began to move. Quiet, cold, fast, like something with teeth. Back at Conclave Station, Yell watched the stars through a window. Somewhere out there, Earth's ship was on its way. He wondered what the Velari would think when the humans arrived. Not healers. Not diplomats. But something else. Something the galaxy didn't have a name for yet. Help was coming. Just not the kind anyone expected. Asterisk, the Evie Widow moved through space like a shadow. It made no sound. No signal. No flashing lights. It didn't want to be seen. Didn't need to be inside. The crew was quiet. Focused. No one wasted words here. Every person on this ship had trained for years to be ready for the one mission no one else would take. Commander Ash Varelli stood at the center of the bridge. His eyes were fixed on the main screen. A blurry image of Aurelia was coming in too. View now dark, beautiful, and broken. Smoke curled from the outpost domes. Several structures weren't just damaged, they were gone, melted, like they had never been real. Beside him, Corporal Reyes tapped on his screen, picking up signals. He said, "Weak fragments. Not much left of the cum grid, but something's still trying to send out." "Keep recording," Ash said. Further back on the bridge, Sergeant Mara Thorne watched a rotating scan of the planet. She was silent, her face hard. Her gloved hands rested on her knees. She didn't blink often. The outpost had a defense. "Shield," she finally said. "It's down." "They never had weapons," Reyes added. "They built Aurelia as a science haven. Zero military presence. They weren't ready for this. We weren't supposed to need it," Ash replied. "This was a peace zone." Reyes raised an eyebrow. "Peace doesn't mean much if the enemy doesn't care." Ash didn't answer. He looked back at the screen. Aurelia was growing closer. The ship wasn't headed straight for it. They were approaching its moon first cold, airless, and quiet. "Good place to land unnoticed. Bring us down. Full stealth," he ordered. The Widow dipped behind the moon and settled into a crater. Dust rose, then fell. Now the ship blended in with the rock. It was almost invisible. Inside, the crew prepared. Reyes walked to the equipment bay. He opened a black case and started checking gear drones, sensors, heat decoys, Mara-loaded weapons. Not all were lethal. Some were stunners, some were noise makers, all were tools of control. "Recon only," Ash reminded. "We don't strike unless we have eyes on the enemy." Mara nodded. "Understood." The crew deployed the first drones. They flew silently over the moon and toward the planet below, using low-band signals and light-bending coding. If anything was watching, they wouldn't see them. The images came in fast. The Aurelia outpost was worse than expected. Dome had been broken open. Labs were in ruins. Habitat modules burned. Bodies floated inside damaged gravity zones. But not many, which was strange. "Where are the rest?" Reyes asked. There were hundreds of Valari here. Ash stared at the screen. "Either taken," he said slowly, "or hiding. Or worse." As the drone scanned deeper, one picked up movement. A small flicker. Inside the main data tower half collapsed. Power offline, something blinked. Not a fire. Not a machine. A slow, steady glow. Reyes leaned forward. "That's not tech. That's biolight." The Valari glowed when they felt emotions. Fear, peace, joy. This glow was soft, weak, but steady. "Someone was alive. Can you zoom in?" Ash asked. The drone focused. Inside a small compartment, barely shielded from the open air, a single Valari child was curled up. The glow came from her skin. Faint pulses, almost like a signal. On, off, on, off. "She's sending a pattern," Mara said. Ash squinted. "That's not random. It's code Morse," Reyes confirmed. "She's using her glow to send Morse code." Everyone went silent for a second. "What's she saying?" Ash asked. Reyes typed fast. "It's short, one word," repeating. He looked up. "Help." Ash stood straight, prepped to drop pods. "Aurelia, where you're going down." They didn't argue. They moved fast, gathering gear. "Sinking comes. Adjusting suits. You'll land 100 meters from the tower," Ash continued. "Stealth. Approach only. No gunfire unless necessary." He looked at Mara. "That child is your priority." She gave one sharp nod. "Understood." Within minutes, the pods launched. No fire trail. No engine burn. They used gravity drops and silent thrusters. Landing on the dark side of Aurelia like falling leaves, Ash watched from the Widow. The screen showed 2 blinking dots reaching the surface. Then dash static. The signal was jammed. He stared at the screen. For a long moment, then turned to the others. "They're in." No one spoke. In space, silence could mean anything. The moment the pods touched down on Aurelia's surface, everything went quiet. Sergeant Mara Thorne crouched low, scanning the blackened sky. Dust blew across the cracked ground. No stars, no sounds. Just the distant hum of something not quite mechanical, not quite alive. Corporal Reyes stepped out of his pod behind her, holding a compact scanner in one hand and a small drone launcher in the other. Atmosphere's thin, but breathable. Radiation's just above normal. Watch your exposure. Time. Mara didn't answer. Her eyes were on the tower. It stood about 100 meters away, crooked and damaged, the top section half melted. But deep inside, something still pulsed. That faint glow. The child. "Let's move," she said. They moved quickly but carefully, keeping to the shadows, cast by broken domes and collapsed walkways. Mara held her rifle low but ready. Reyes kept scanning for motion. So far nothing. The enemy was quiet. Too quiet. "Something's wrong," Reyes whispered. "There should be drones patrolling. Noise. Something." Mara nodded. "I don't like it." As they reached the tower's outer shell, Reyes launched a palm-sized drone that floated upward, scanning the inside. The feed came through there. Visors, twisted metal, burned walls, signs of struggle. And there, behind a shattered console, the Valari child. She was curled up tightly, glowing in soft pulses. Her skin shimmered like silver under the drone's light. "She's alive," Reyes said, relief in his voice. "Not alone," Mara replied. The drone caught movements, mall shapes crawling in the ceiling vents. Thin, spider-like things with too many legs and pulsing red centers. They weren't machines. Not exactly. Not organic either. Parasites. Mara and Reyes looked at each other. No words were needed. Reyes activated a pulse jammer, scrambling signals around the tower. The skittering things froze for a moment, twitching. 10 seconds, Reyes said. "That's all I can buy you. Only need 5, Mara said. She moved. 8. In 3 steps she was through the broken door. Rifle raised, eyes sharp. The parasites began to stir. One dropped from the ceiling, screeching, but she shot it mid-fall. It hit the ground with a wet thud. She knelt beside the child, gently reaching out. "You're safe now. We're from Earth." The child looked up at her with wide silver eyes. She didn't speak, but her glow flickered faster. Fear, confusion, hope. Mara lifted her carefully and turned back toward the exit. More of the creatures dropped down. Reyes fired a flash bomb through the door. The burst of light and sound scattered the swarm long enough for Mara to leap through, holding the child tight. "Run!" Reyes shouted. They sprinted for the drop. Pods as more parasites emerged from the ground and walls. Silent, twitching, fast. Mara dove into her pod with the child, just as one of the creatures lunged at her back. She kicked it away and slammed the hatch shut. Reyes rolled in behind her, sealing his pod with a breathless curse. "Launch," Mara ordered. Both pods shot. Upward, silent thrusters pushing them away from the surface. The parasite swarm faded below. Inside the EV Widow, alarms chimed as the pods reconnected with the ship. Ash stood waiting at the airlock, helmet on. As soon as the doors opened, Mara stepped out, child still in her arms. "Target secured," she said. Ash looked down at the Valari girl. She was glowing brighter now, but still trembling. He knelt down, taking off his helmet. "You're safe now," he said softly. The girl blinked, then slowly reached out a glowing hand and touched his forehead. A moment passed. Then she whispered in perfect Earth standard, "You single quotes, different." Ash nodded. "Yes, we are." Reyes stepped up beside them. "Sir, you should see this," he said, holding out his scanner. "Those things, they weren't attacking, they were studying us. Tracking our moves, learning." Ash stood up slowly. "They're adapting." Mara crossed her arms. "Then we stop waiting. We hit them before they understand how we think." Ash looked out the viewport at Aurelia's surface. "I agree," he said. "We've seen enough. Time to send a message back." He turned to Reyes. "Prep the Widow's stealth systems. We'll strike tonight." Reyes smirked. "Now you're talking." The girl watched them quietly. Her glow was steady now, calmer, brighter. She didn't know what Earth was before today, but she knew something now. When the humans came, they didn't bring promises. They brought action. The EV Widow drifted silently in orbit above Aurelia, hidden behind layers of stealth and silence. From space, The planet looked peaceful green. Oceans, white clouds, soft light, but they all knew better. Underneath that beauty, something terrible was spreading. In the operations bay, Commander Ash Varelli stood with his crew around a holographic table. The map of Aurelia hovered above it, marked with red zones areas already lost, overrun by the parasite things. Yellow zones meant possible survivors. There weren't many. Sergeant Marathorn leaned on the table. We need to hit the source. Those things aren't just random bugs. They're coordinated. You're following orders. Reyes tapped a flashing marker on the map, and this is where we start. Biosignals show a nest under the old power station. It's not just crawling with hostiles. There's something bigger in there. Smarter. Ash nodded. We don't attack it directly. Not yet. First we see what it's doing. Why it's here. We already know why, Mara muttered. To kill and spread. Maybe, Ash said. But they could have destroyed the child. They didn't. They watched her. Reyes looked uneasy. What kind of enemy studies a kid and doesn't? Strike. One that learns, Ash said. Silence filled the room for a moment. Then he gave orders. Mara, Reyesul, go back down. Covert entry. Infiltrate the station. Plant probes. And get out. No noise, no risks. Understood. They said together. In the med bay, the Valari child, now called Luma, by the crew sat, calmly with a blanket wrapped around her glowing shoulders. Her light pulsed gently, in rhythm with her breath. She was stronger today, more alert. Ash stepped inside. Going back to help your people? She looked up, her silver eyes clear. You are not like the others, she said softly. We're human, Ash replied. She tilted her head. You carry fear, fire, but you protect. Ash smiled. Slightly. We've learned to fight when no one else will. Luma reached out and touched his arm. Then, they fear you too. Later, Mara and Reyes returned to the surface, this time landing closer to the power station. The landscape here looked worse. Entire buildings had been eaten away. Strange. Growths covered metal walls, pulsing, organic like roots or veins. A soft hum came from below-ground, deep and slow. It didn't sound like a machine. It sounded like breathing. They moved silently, rifles at the ready, eyes scanning every corner. The entrance to the station was half buried under twisted metal and broken panels. Reyes used a cutter to open a path while Mara kept watch. Inside it was dark. Their suit. Lights flickered on, showing long corridors filled with shadows and strange signs. Burn marks on the walls, dried slime on the floor, half-melted equipment. This place was taken fast, Reyes said quietly. No firefight, no signs of escape. They didn't have time, Mara replied. As they moved deeper, they found it. A wide chamber with a glowing core in the center. The parasite nest. Thick tendrils rose from the floor, wrapping around old machines. Inside the core, something floated, part organic, part mechanical, like a brain made of wires and flesh. It's a hive mind, Reyes whispered, one brain controlling the swarm. And it's growing, Mara said, planting the first probe. We tag it now. Widow can hit it from orbit if needed. Suddenly, a sound behind them, a hiss. They turned. A creature stepped from the shadows. It's taller than the others, thinner, watching, not charging, not moving, just ... looking. Then it tilted its head and mimicked Mara's voice. We've learned to fight. Her own words echoed back. She fired. The creature dodged, then vanished. More hissing now from every direction. They were listening, Reyes said, the whole time. Move. Mara shouted. They ran, ducking through. Halls blasting through new growths that tried to close around them. The exit came into view. A dozen small parasites dropped from the ceiling, but Mara threw a flash grenade and sprinted through the light burst.
Ow.
They reached the pickup zone just in time. The Widow's drone pulled them up on a cable lift, disappearing into the sky as more creatures poured from the trees behind them. Back on the ship, Ash watched the feeds, calm but tense. The probes were active. Data came in fast. Mara and Reyes entered the bridge, breathing hard. "They're not just feeding," Mara said. "They're copying, learning from us." Ash nodded slowly. "Then we teach them something new," he said. "We show them what Earth does when prey fights back." ChatGPT said. The lights on the EV Widow dimmed to red. Everyone on board knew what that meant: battle prep. Commander Ash Varelli stood on the bridge, eyes locked on the screen. The probe data streamed in, showing images of the hive brain. The spreading tendrils, the patterns in the parasite attacks. They were building something under Aurelia's surface, something big. And fast. "We wait too long," Mara said beside him, arms crossed. "They'll spread to other systems. We can't let them get off this planet." "They're learning from us," Reyes added. "They used your voice, Sarge. Next they'll try our tech. Maybe even our strategy." Ash didn't respond right away. He was thinking, watching, planning. Then he spoke. "We hit the hive tonight." He pointed at the map. "But we don't go in loud. Not yet. We strike from Orbit 2's EMP shells, cut power to their systems, blind them, while they recover. We send in ground units to destroy the core." Reyes nodded. "I can rig the EMP charges. We'll hit their brain, not their limbs." Ash turned to Mara. "You'll lead the ground team." "Course," she said. "No mistakes," Ash warned. "These things adapt. If we fail, they'll know how to beat us next time." In the medbay, Luma watched them prepare through a small window. Her glow pulsed softly, full of emotion, fear, hope, worry. Ash stepped. "And you're safe here," he said. "We won't let them take you." Looked up at him, eyes full of light. "They listen, but they don't feel. That is why they lose." Ash didn't know what to say, but her words stayed in his mind. That night, the Widow circled above Aurelia, silent in the dark sky. From below, it looked like a black star passing by. No lights, no sound, then impact. 3 EMP bombs dropped like stones. No explosions, just a ripple, a wave of silence. Every parasite signal flickered. The hive dimmed. The lights in their underground nests sputtered and died. Mara and her team launched from the Widow in small drop pods, silent and fast. They landed near the power station. It's the same place where the hive lived. Reyes watched from the ship, guiding them by signal beacons. "You have 7 minutes before the core reboots." "Copy that," Mara said. She led the way, her boots crunching on dry ash. The walls around them were still pulsing, but slower now, like something in pain. Inside the nest looked different. Dimmer, less alive. The core brain flickered like a dying star. Mara raised her rifle. "Plant the charges." The team moved fast, placing small explosive discs around the room. Then, something moved. A tall parasite stepped forward from behind a growth wall. Its body was twisted, thin, almost human-shaped, but wrong. Too long, too sharp. It looked at Mara. Tilted its head, then it spoke. Her voice again, "You are not safe?" She froze for half a second, then fired. The shot hit the creature in the chest. It shrieked and fell, melting into the floor. More movement, all around them. "They're still here," a soldier shouted. "Swarm coming. Charges." "Set," another said. "Fall back," Mara yelled. "Detonation in 60 seconds." They fought their way back through the tunnels, shooting fast, covering each other, moving with sharp discipline. The parasites attacked wildly like animals that knew their time was running out. Mara reached the surface and tapped her cum. Charge is armed. Lighted up. From above, Reyes hit the trigger. The ground below shook. A bright blue light flashed through the cracks in the earth. Then silence. The core was gone. Back aboard the Widow, everyone waited for the sensors to update. Ash stared at the screen. Reyes gave a slow smile. No more hive signals. Ash exhaled. Good work. Mara returned to the ship with her team. Dusty, bruised, but alive. Luma met them at the hatch. She looked at Mara, then at the others. "You are fire," she said. Mara raised an eyebrow. That bad, huh? No, Luma said softly. Fire that protects. Ash watched them from the bridge. They'd won. But he knew this wasn't over. If these creatures had reached Aurelia, they could reach other worlds too. This was just the beginning. Asterisk, the crew of the EV Widow moved with quiet purpose. The battle was over, but the tension hadn't left the air. Everyone knew this wasn't the end. It never was. Commander Ash stood at the main screen, staring at the empty spot where the parasite hive had once pulsed beneath Aurelia's surface. It was gone, now burned, crushed, and silent. No signals. No movement. But the silence made him. Uneasy, Reyes walked in, carrying a data pad. No trace of hive activity. Scans are clean. But I did find something weird in the final probe feed. Shh. He tapped the pad, and the screen showed a slowed-down video right before the core exploded. Something small launched upward from inside it. A dark capsule, fast, silent, and barely visible. Ash frowned. An escape pod or a seed, Reyes said. They knew we were coming. It might have been planning ahead. Mara stepped in behind them. Her face was tired, but her voice was steady, so even dying they were thinking, not just reacting. They're not just creatures, Ash said quietly. They're strategists. Reyes looked worried. If that seed got off-world, we find it, Ash said. We track every signal, every jump trace. This doesn't spread. Down in. The medbay Luma sat near the large window, watching Aurelia slowly rotate below. Her glow had changed brighter, steadier. She was stronger now, healing. But her eyes still held a quiet sadness. Mara walked in and sat beside her. You did well, Mara said. Your signal helped us find you. Without that, we might have missed everything. Luma looked up. I was afraid. So was I, Mara said honestly. But fear doesn't mean you stop. It means you care enough to keep going. Luma touched her own chest. I still feel them. Their memory. It's like a scar inside. Mara nodded. That's normal. We call those battle marks. You don't always see them, but they stay with you. Luma didn't reply right away. She said, they copied your voice. They tried to be you. They tried, Mara said. But they don't understand what we are. They think strength is only teeth and claws. But real strength is choice, Loomis. Light pulsed gently later. The Widow's crew gathered in the mission room. Ash stood at the head of the table, looking over everyone. Mara, Reyes, the engineers, the tech crew, all tired. All alert. We stopped the hive, he began. But a part of it escaped, possibly more. The screen lit up, showing a map of nearby systems. We've traced an energy trail leading toward the edge of known space, barely detectable. Whatever left that core didn't want to be found. We're going after it? Reyes asked. Ash nodded. We don't wait for danger to knock again. We take the fight to it. No one argued. Mara spoke up. The Conclave needs to know. This isn't a one-time attack. These things are testing us. Ash agreed. They'll be informed. But don't expect help. We're still Earth's unofficial shadow. But they don't like to admit they need us. Reyes smirked. They'll like it even less when we save them again. Ash turned to the comms officer. Send a message to Earth's command. Request support vessels. Medical aid for Aurelia. Tell them the Widow is moving out. The officer saluted and got to work. Ash stepped away from the screen, thinking about Luma, about Aurelia, about what came next. They had burned the hive. But he had a feeling this was just one branch of something far bigger in the stars beyond. Something waited, watching, planning. But now it knew something else too. Earth fights back, and humans. They don't stop. They adapt. 3 days after the strike, Aurelia began to breathe again. The fires were out. The skies were clear. Parasite signals were gone. From orbit, the outpost still looked damaged, burned domes, shattered towers, but life was returning. The surviving Valari had emerged from hiding, blinking into the sunlight, unsure if it was safe to hope. On the surface, human crew members from the EV Widow moved carefully among the ruins. They helped clear debris, repaired broken structures, and handed out food rations from Earth's supplies. They didn't speak much. It just worked. At the edge of the main plaza, Luma stood beside Elder Rin, one of the older Velari scientists who had survived. Her glow was strong now, confident. They came when no one else did, Eldarin whispered. Luma nodded, and they stayed. Up above, in low orbit, the Widow prepared to leave. Inside the bridge, Commander Ash stared out at the planet through the main window. Mara stood beside him, arms crossed. She recover, Mara said. She need time, Ash replied. Behind them, Reyes entered, holding a tablet. Message just came in from Earth Command. They're sending 2 more ships, medical and reconstruction. A diplomatic team, too. Ash smiled faintly. Diplomats, a little. Late? Better than never, Reyes said. A small alert blinked on the screen. A long-range scan. A soft beep. Ash turned. The trail they had been tracking, the one from the parasite escape pod, had updated. It had jumped systems again. Deeper into uncharted space? They're running, Mara said. No, Ash replied. They're spreading. There was a long pause. Then Ash looked to his crew. We follow. No hesitation. Everyone nodded. Down below, Luma stood in the square with the other Velari. The wind moved gently through the broken city. She looked up at the sky, eyes searching. A streak of light moved overhead. The EV Widow. She felt a small spark inside her chest. Not fear, not sadness, but something new. Strength, she turned to Elder Rin. When they first came, I thought they were dangerous. They are, Rin said. But that's not all they are, Luma smiled. They're what we needed. Back. On the bridge, Ash gave the final command. Set course. Let's finish this. The ship turned, its engines burning quiet and cold. The stars stretched into lines. They were gone. The message had reached Earth, and Earth had answered not with fear, not with debate, not with delay, but with a ship, with warriors, with a choice. In a galaxy that waited and watched and hesitated, the humans had moved, and when the parasites looked into the minds of Deathworlders, they didn't find monsters, they found protectors. Not perfect, not peaceful, but willing. Willing to burn to keep others alive. Willing to face fear so no one else had to, and that, in the end, is what saved Aurelia. Not technology, not numbers, not treaties, but the fire inside a human heart that said, simply, help is needed. We go.